Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be talking about some of my all-time favorite standalones. Since I posted my all-time favorite series video like last year, you guys have been asking me so much for an all-time favorite standalones video, so today I am delivering. I do want to say two things. Number one, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the order I've placed these in. I think I said this in my all-time favorite series video, like a lot of these could just change ranks at any time, so I wouldn't take like the number I attached to each book as gospel, just the fact that these are all some of my all-time favorite standalones is the intention of this video. And number two is I have been reading a lot of standalones lately, more than like I ever have before, so I will definitely need to do an updated one at some point. This is just where I am March 2017 at the time of me filming this. So without further ado, let us talk about some of my all-time favorite standalones. Coming in at number 9 on my list is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I feel like Fangirl has become a significant contemporary novel for me for a lot of different reasons over the years. Firstly, it was one of the very first contemporary YA novels that I read and really enjoyed. When I first joined BookTube, all I had read was fantasy and dystopian and sci-fi, and I had tried a few YA novels that were contemporary that weren't my favorite, but I read Fangirl and it was so amazing. But also because the content of Fangirl really related to me at the time of my life that I read it. I read Fangirl as I was leaving high school, preparing to go to college, just as Kath does in this book. Kat and I's anxiety is very, very similar, so the way we react to a lot of situations are extremely similar, so it was so nice to be able to read a book about a character who was kind of going through the same thing as me. It was really significant because a couple of years ago when I had first started reading, when I had read Fangirl, I wasn't well accepted for liking books, and I always felt like weird, like an outcast, because I had this different interest, and then you have Kath who writes fan fiction, who doesn't care to go out to parties, like she wants to stay home and read her favorite books over and over and over again, and I was like, that's me. So Fangirl was just a very significant read at this time in my life, but I still love it. I will stand by it for the rest of my days because it was just such an amazing novel, and I think everyone should give it a chance. Number 8 on this list is The Hey You Give by Angie Thomas. This one I only read recently, like a month ago, so I put it a little bit downward on the list because I know like it hasn't had the same amount of time to set as something like Fangirl that I read 3 years ago, but I can tell you it's definitely one of my favorite standalones of all time. It's actually getting like a spin-off sequel novel that takes place from the perspective of one of the little minor characters in this book, and it follows a different area from the same neighborhood. So it's not like an extension of the same story, but it is kind of still a sequel. But oh well, I consider it a standalone at this point in my life. The Hey You Give was such an amazing, mind-blowing novel. I feel like I truly learned so much from this book, and it gave a lot of value to me. That's what it really provided. It deals with topics that are so relevant in our lives today, like racism and police brutality and privilege. It was an enlightening read. It's also absolutely hysterical. Angie Thomas is such a talented writer, and that really shines through. There are just so many important messages in this book. Like the primary one is learning to use your voice, and that your voice, your opinions, your feelings and experiences, these are all important and they should be spread out into the world. It's just one of those books that you want to make everyone read because you feel like everyone can benefit from it in some way. I also believe it's getting a movie, which is awesome because as I was reading this book, I was like, this would make such a perfect movie, so I'm really excited for that. But even though The Hey You Give is a book that is very new, it's very new in my life and very new to my reading experience, I know for a fact this is a book that I'm going to carry with me for an extremely long period of time, that I want everyone in my life who I love to read it just because it was so amazing, and I highly, highly recommend this one. Number 7 on this list is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. I have been raving about this book for years now, so if you have been on my channel for like any period of time, you've probably heard me talk about Every Last Word and how much I love it. It follows a main character who has purely obsessional OCD, and while I've never had OCD myself, obsessional thoughts and compulsions have been a really significant part of my life, so I think this was really like one of the first mental health novels I ever read, and it was so nice to be able to like look and see someone reacting the same way to their own thoughts that I do. This book has a big focus on finding yourself through your friends, through your own personal interests. Like it's very self-reflective in my opinion. My mom read it and loved it. My sister read it and loved it. Like everyone loves this book. Like it's just one of those ones that like you have to read. Although I don't like poetry, this book has a heavy focus on poetry, and there are some poems in it, and even something that I'm not generally interested in still was a great addition to the story in my opinion. This is another book that I'm gonna like hold with my heart for a really long time. Like I can say with sincerity that this is definitely one of my favorite standalones of all time, and I'm honestly like so happy so many of you guys over the the years have picked this book up because I talk about it just because it means so much to me to know that like so many people in this world are going out and experiencing the same story that meant so much to me. Number 6 on this list, another pretty recent read, but again, I know I'm going to love this for a seriously long time, and that is Under Rose-Tainted Skies by Louise Grenal. This is another mental health book. Obviously, we have a little bit of a theme here. It follows a main character who has agoraphobia, OCD, and anxiety. This book just like broke me into a million pieces. My mom finished it a few days ago. Like, it's just, it's another one. I make my mom read all my favorite books. This is another one that I just feel is so powerful. Like, it's really about overcoming your fears and bettering yourself to be the person that you yourself want to be. It's one of those books where you just deeply feel for the main character, even though they're fictional. Like, I was rooting for Nora. I wanted her to be the best person that she can be for herself. I wanted her to overcome all of these fears and achieve all of her goals. And it was something I felt really, really connected to. And in addition to being very emotional and heavy, it's also very cute and lighthearted and fun. Like, there's a really great balance of complexity in this novel, and that was great to read. Under Rose-Tainted Skies is definitely one of my all-time favorite standalones at this point. I know a lot of people get wary of like, when can you say something is an all-time favorite, because this is a very new book to me, but just the way that the story has impacted me really made a difference, and I know that I'm always going to love it. Number 5 on my list of all-time favorite standalones is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. Oh my god, you guys, this dang book, A List of Cages, is so good. This book made me cry by the 5th page, man. It was so emotional and amazing. This is another one where you just like root for the character. Like, I will think about Julian for the rest of my life just because this kid deserves the world. He deserves so much happiness, and he deserves to have his best friend Adam right by his side. Another really great thing about this book that's super refreshing is it's not focused on a romance. It's about two boys and friendship and brothership and family. There's such a focus on kindness that like we don't normally see in books, which was so wonderful to experience. A lot of this book is about being kind to others, which is like a happy thing and a lighthearted thing, but this book is so intense and heavy. I'm telling you, if you are even like slightly a book crier, like this is a book that's gonna make you bawl. It's just another book that was super self-reflective for myself. Like, I sat back and I took a look at the way that I'm running my life, and it was like, what do I need to change to become the person that I want to be? And like, that is like the best thing that a contemporary or any kind of book can really do for me, because not all of these are necessarily contemporary. That's just something I really love getting out of a book, when I can read a fictional story and really apply it to my real life circumstances and be like, I need to change. I am changed because of this book. Not that I need to, like, I am a different person because I read A List of Cages. It was really just like experiencing the story of these two boys that really made an impact on me. And maybe it's not something that you guys can see externally or even can notice when, you know, looking at my personality or anything like that, but A List of Cages truly made an impact on my heart, and I will love it forever. Number 4 on my list of favorite standalones of all time is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. God, do I love this book. As you can tell, a lot of books on this list are ones that I have been raving about for a really long time, and History is definitely one I have not stopped talking about for the past like 3 or 4 months. This is another book that's gonna make you cry. It's gonna make you have a really good book cry. It's interesting because this book starts out as a story of grief and kind of overcoming the death of a loved one, but it really does transform into this journey of self-discovery. I can't even tell you things I love about History Is All You Left Me, because I love literally every second of this book. In addition to making me cry and have all of the feels, it also made me want to scream and throw the book out of my window because like, what just happened? It is funny. Adam Silvera has like the best writing style. It's one of those books where you just really have to like admire the complexity and the depth in it, and this book is just fantastic, and I'm so happy Adam read it. It was such a good book. Number 3 on my list of favorite standalones is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. God bless Sarah without Nate for getting me to read this book. While most of the books on this list are like cute contemporary romances or deal with heavy topics like mental health, Night Film is a psychological thriller, which although I don't read a ton of psychological thrillers every single day of my life, I love this genre so much. This book, man, was a trip, like an absolute mindfuck. There is so much greatness about this book. It is just a really, really impressive story. If you haven't heard me talk about Night Film, it essentially follows an ex-journalist who was in the past obsessed with this cult filmmaker who disappeared for like 20 years, and then in the news he finds out that the daughter of the filmmaker has committed suicide, and he doesn't believe that she actually killed herself. He believes that this cult filmmaker had something to do with her death, so he starts investigating and is talking to all these different people in the city that had interactions with her leading up to her death and whatnot, and oh my god, guys, it's so good. It's also like mixed media, so there's like a lot of different other things in between the actual text of the book, like there's photos and whatnot. Really, really cool book. I will swear by Night Film. It is a fantastic novel that is beautifully written, that is so interesting, that'll keep you on the edge of your seat while reading, and it is absolutely one of my favorite standalones of all time. Like, I would pay for a million books in this series, just of books like this in general, but Night Film is one of a kind, totally unique, and one of my absolute favorites. Coming in at number 2 is Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. Made You Up follows a main character named Alex with early onset schizophrenia, and when she transfers to a new school, she meets a boy that she believes that she met in her past when it was like the only interaction with a friend that she ever had, but her mother told her that meeting this boy was only a hallucination. But he's standing in front of her and they're talking and they're having interactions, and so it's all about Alex finding the balance between reality and what is just a hallucination and what is just inside of her mind. This book was so amazing to me because when you hear about schizophrenia, it's not what it's like. I had a psychotic episode a few years back that was very similar to a lot of the symptoms people experience when they are dealing with schizophrenia, and I suffered from visual hallucinations, which are never talked about. And then I read this book that had a main character who suffered from visual hallucinations, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I really identified with this book. Like, Alex just means so much to me as a character, and her growth is so inspiring in my opinion. It really is a fantastic contemporary novel, and I will recommend this book like until the day I die. I loved it so much. I really don't know why. This book has been out since 2015, but I still only have an ARC. I should really buy a final copy considering it's my second favorite standalone of all time. But I absolutely love Made You Up with all of my heart, and I really hope you guys pick it up because I think it is such a wonderful story. And then we get to my number 1 favorite standalone of all time, and this is one that I don't think will ever lose its spot just because of the significance it has to me, and that is This Song Will Save Your Life by Leila Sales. I feel like if you've only recently joined my channel, you might not know about this book, but if you've been here for a while, you probably know how much I love This Song Will Save Your Life. This is actually the very first book that I bought on my own without BookTube recommending it to me. I was in Barnes & Noble for one of the first times I ever went when I was like 18, and I saw the cover and it said that it had to do with music and a girl becoming a DJ, and I was sold. Little did I know this book would change my life. It's kind of like Fangirl in the respect that it came to me at a really needed time, but the impact it has stuck with me throughout like the past 3 years of me reading this book. Our main character has never been able to fit in. She's never really had a friend group. She's very lonely and doesn't find her place in the world, but as she's just strolling and taking a walk one night, she comes across this underground nightclub and she finds her place there. She becomes a DJ and finds her passion for music, and she loves performing, and she makes a whole new group of people that really care for her, and it was so amazing to me. Before I joined BookTube and before I had all of these books to be my anchor, music was my anchor. I went to electronic concerts and festivals. All of my friends I had made on Twitter, and we all went to the same concerts, and it was just so close to the experiences of Elise, and I had never had that experience before of being able to see someone who really reflected exactly where I was. When I talk about this book and when I recommend it to people, I really say it's like giving people a piece of my heart, because it's literally like somebody took my story and wrote it down on paper. When I think of this book, I am just filled with love and gratitude. Like, this is one of those books that really taught me to be confident in myself, to not shy away from things that I love just because it's not the norm and it's not what everyone in the mainstream loves. It really helped me come to terms with the fact that I wasn't like everyone that I grew up with, and I had a lot of different interests that I was made fun of, but here I had a girl who overcame all of that and who was able to find herself and be happy with herself, and that's exactly what reading this book did for me. I just love This Song Will Save Your Life so much, and I really hope some of you guys read it in the future because it really is one of those books that will stand out to me for the rest of my life. I just love it so much. I'm so thankful it exists, and it will definitely be my all-time favorite standalone, #1 for an extremely long period of time. So that is really it for my list of all-time favorite standalones. It's definitely not complete. Like I'm saying, I think in a couple of months I'll probably have to do a second one just because I am flying through so many standalones right now and I'm loving all of them. Let me know in the comments of this video what are some of your favorite standalones because I would love to pick them up. And of course, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, I would love to know your opinions on them. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!